Welcome into week 7 of high school football. I'm Andrew Banstra, and this is the final drive. Let's get into it with our game of the week, where 5-1 Lodi looks to hand Darlington their first loss of the season. These pair of powerhouses have only played once in recent history. The Redbirds dominated the Blue Devils last year. Lodi's only loss this season was all the way back in week 1, and they're fresh off a win over Lake Mills. That was a big one. Scoreless in the first quarter, and the Redbirds on the run. Darlington, they're going to wear you down with that ground game. Doing just that here, leading into their first score. When in doubt, give it to Ryder Fitzsimons. He signs his name on the first score of the game. And in the second, it's more Redbirds who have a couple of birds in that nest that take the ball and fly away. This time it's Dante Glendenning denning his way into the end zone, and he would stay there. Darlington does their job and stays undefeated, 38-0. And we head over to Nash Dara, who has our game of the night.
Thank you, Andrew. Tonight's game of the night took us to Lake Mills with the L-Cats taking on the Columbus Cardinals. The L-Cats look to turn the tides tonight as they have not beaten their divisional opponent since 2019, which has been a string of 5 straight losses. After 3 weeks on the road, Lake Mills looks to get back in the win column after a loss to the Lodi Blue Devils in a close one just last week. But tonight they took on a very good 5-1 Cardinals football team. Watch this first drive of the game. We get a fake handoff to Owen Cowell, and quarterback Peyton Powers takes it over 60 yards to the house for the first touchdown of the game. Later in the quarter, no fake here as Powers hands it to Bobby Tracy, who bulldozes his way into the end zone. The game would turn into a shootout, but the Cardinals of the Columbus would hold on to win 41-35 and keep that win streak against the L-Cats alive. Back to you, Andrew.
Man, Nash, 41-35, that lives up to the game of the night title. Last week, Verona had their 25-game Big 8 win streak snapped. The Wildcats just haven't had that same hiss this season, if you will, but had the chance to get a new streak started against Madison West tonight, a team who is fresh off winning the Madison Cup. But Andrew Riley's guys were riled up to get back into the win column. Third quarter, and the Wildcats were running wild. Jax Webking spindles the Regents and winds his way to a 30-yard touchdown run. Verona takes a 27-0 lead. West just caught the Wildcats on the wrong week here. Nothing was going to stop Verona this evening. They run it in for another score. This time it's Austin Perez perusing through the Regent defense, and Verona wins it 40-7. Heading over to Lake Mills, we're going to see that score on the bottom in Lakeside Lutheran. They lost to Mount Horeb 52-19. And how about that one up top? Sun Prairie West needing a win, and they get it 42-7. The final score at Bank of Sun Prairie Stadium. Don't look now, but Janesville Craig has put together quite the 2025 campaign. The Cougars look for their 5th win of the season tonight against Memorial, who picked up their first win of the season last week. And this evening, the Spartans would look to show they've still got life. They led 28-19 at the half and came out firing in the second. They'd punt on the first drive, or would they? Watch the fake punt, and it works. They move the sticks, and from there, Blake Adams would not be denied. The QB keeps it, and look at this ferocious run, fighting for every yard and eventually conceding to his halfback. A fake end around ends up in the end zone. AJ Danzo does the Cougars in as Memorial wins their 2nd straight. 50-19 the final score. Sun Prairie East got off to a bang this season, but have slowed down since, losing at Monona Grove last week. But for Waunakee, there's been no slowing down. It's been all gas, no brakes for the undefeated Warriors, and nothing seemed to change this evening. It was 31-0 at half, and Waunakee started up again right where they left off in the second. Giving the rock to Jack Solverson, that's all you need to do. He's off to the house for a 50-yard house call. Solverson slippery, sliding into the end zone, and if this wasn't the dagger, this right here was. The Warriors put another pair of points on the board. They blocked the kick, And off they go. Even if they don't put the points on the board there, they would get the job done and then some, as Waunakee goes on to win it 41-7, the final score. Looking at scores in other parts of the area, this is the time of year where you start to see some upsets, and unfortunately for New Glarus, that happened to them this evening, losing at the hands of Prairie du Chien 36-28. And how about Poynette? They win 37-6. That's their 5th win of the season. Well, man, what a season it's been for Monona Grove. The Silver Eagles have been soaring. Their only loss this year was to Waunakee at Waunakee by 1 point in overtime. Meanwhile, Oregon needs a win. The Panthers have lost 4 straight, looking for their first win over MG in a decade. And tonight, it just wasn't going to happen. The Silver Eagles stuck a 21-0 lead early on Oregon that the Panthers just could not overcome. They figured out the pass game late, did Oregon. Ethan Pagels pushing the ball, but it wouldn't result in points. Monona Grove improves to 6-1, blanking Oregon 21-0, the final score. It has been a while since we crossed paths with the Crusaders of Edgewood, so here's a reminder. They're off to a perfect 6-0 start and hosted Stoughton tonight, looking to reach 7 wins for the first time since 2011. But Stoughton wasn't going to let that happen, at least not without a fight. Pick things up in the second quarter. Edgewood leading by 2 scores, and Gannon Bagstead says paper or plastic. Nope, I'll just take a touchdown. Fires to Ben Morey, but his Crusaders, they wanted more. A few minutes later, Aiden Fickle, you may have heard of his dad. He's there alongside his teammate Henry Clark for the tackle. Edgewood gets the stop and sets up this. Cash Soma, he's the return man here on this punt, and he's going to hit the ATM and win the jackpot. The speedster stacking up the yards. He could go all the cha-ching. Edgewood scores the touchdown. It is Cash Soma for the score, and the Crusaders stay perfect on the season. What a year it's been for them. They go on to win it emphatically 42-7. I've said it before, but picking games of the week is an imperfect science. Edgerton and Evansville had all of the qualifications to meet a game of the week. Evansville is undefeated, and they hosted Edgerton this evening in a Rock River rivalry. Evansville has gotten the better of this matchup in 5 straight meetings, but the Crimson Tide trying to prove the tide has turned, and this one was a thriller. In the first quarter, the Blue Devils' Matthew Wickersham, Evansville, they shellac up a deep ball, and it's picked off by Edgerton. Logan Hammer lays down the law on Evansville, but the Blue Devils get the ball back, and this time they get the job done. Lincoln Keller close to the goal line. He fumbles, but good for him. His teammate Adrian Wessels was in the right place at the right time, but that's burying the lead. How about Edgerton this evening? The Tide had the upset on their mind. Brady Buskiger chucks it up the field for Charlie Johnson, who eats the tackle and houses it. They hand Evansville their first loss of the season as the Tide take it. What a big-time win for Edgerton, 21-16. To some other scores, Sauk Prairie improves to 5-2 on the season. They beat Portage 31-14 in an incredibly pivotal and big-time game between Potosi Cassville and Seneca Wazeeka Steuben. PC takes it 33-27, the final score.